Sleeping Giant is a mountain in south central Connecticut. It was given its name because from far away, the mountain looks like a person sleeping. However, the mountain's original name was Hobomok. Hobomok was a Native American spirit from a legend created by the Quinnipiac people. In the legend, Hobomok became enraged because he was being neglected by his people. So he stomped and changed the course of the Connecticut River. Keithan, a much kinder spirit, put him to sleep for forever in order to stop Hobomok from creating any further damage to the land. Sleeping Giant is one of the Trap Rock Ridges in Connecticut. The Trap Rock Ridges are unique to Connecticut and cannot be found anywhere else in the world. They were created 170 million years ago during the Jurassic period. Most of the Trap Rock Ridges are extrusive formations. However, Sleeping Giant is one of the few Trap Rock Ridge formations that is intrusive. They are called Trap Rock Ridges because they fracture at a nearly 90-degree angle, making them almost look like steps. And trap is a Swedish translation for steps or stairs. When Pangaea began to pull apart, it split into what are now continents. Tension between the newly separated continents caused two elongated faults to form. Land settled between the two faults and created a rift valley. Trap rock formed when molten lava came up through deep cracks in the rift valley and hardened once it reached the surface. Unlike most trap rock formations, Sleeping Giant is an intrusive mountain. This means that the majority of its trap rock formed when lava cooled slowly underground. When a rock is extrusive, this means that the lava had reached the surface and it cooled rapidly. Because the trap rock at Sleeping Giant is intrusive, the rock weathers more slowly and its crystals are much larger. You can even see some crystals with the naked eye. The trap rock of Sleeping Giant is basaltic. Basalt is typically an extrusive igneous rock that forms when basaltic lava reaches the surface and rapidly freezes once it contacts the atmosphere. Even though the trap rock at Sleeping Giant is intrusive, it actually has an identical mineral composition to basalt. Basalt is composed of plagioclase feldspar, pyroxene, olivine, biotite, hornblende, and less than 20% of quartz. Basalt is mafic, which gives the rock the dark color. Mafic igneous rocks contain high amounts of iron and magnesium, unlike felsic igneous rocks, which contain minerals with high amounts of silica. There used to be high mountains in eastern and western Connecticut. Sediment eroded from these mountains and covered the layers of basalt in the Rift Valley. The sediment was then compressed into arkose, or what we now call brownstone. Arkose is a clastic sedimentary rock. This means that it formed when fragments of pre-existing rock cemented together. It is medium grained, with grains ranging from 0.06 millimeters to 2 millimeters. It has a reddish-brown color and contains mostly feldspar and quartz. Sometime in the Ice Age, a massive glacier pushed its way through Connecticut. This tore down weak arkose and left the basaltic trap rock exposed once the ice melted. Basalt contains a large amount of iron, so when the basalt was exposed to the climate, it rested. This gave it the reddish-brown color that we see today. In 1735, Joel Munson built a grist and saw mill southwest of the Giant's Head. Around this time, there was also a new road that was built. It ran north to south through a previously difficult area to travel, known as the Steppes. Between the new road and the mill, more and more people started to settle the area. In 1828, a canal was built that ran from New Haven, Connecticut, all the way to Northampton, Massachusetts. The canal brought even more traffic to the area. In 1846, the canal was shut down. A rail line was then built over the canal bed. Sometime in the mid-1800s, the Mount Carmel Axle Works Company moved to the location of the Joel Munson's mill. Many cottages were built throughout the second half of the 19th century. A man named Judge Willis Cook had bought the land of the first ridge, or the area known as the Giant's Head. Cook had an ox road built so he could transport building materials to build a cottage. This road eventually became a part of the trail on the Blue Path at the Sleeping Giant State Park that we have today. In 1911, Judge Cook leased land to the Mount Carmel Trap Rock Company. This company used the land for quarrying, which outraged locals because they were deforming the original shape of the mountain. In response to the quarrying, the Sleeping Giant Park Association was formed in 1924. They were eventually able to buy the land from the Mount Carmel Trap Rock Company and put an end to the quarrying on the mountain in 1933. Between 1935 and 1938, both the Sleeping Giant Watchtower and the Path to the Tower were created. They were built by employees of the Works Progress Administration. This was an administration that was created during the Great Depression in order to provide work for unemployed citizens. The unique bedrock and topography of Trap Rock Ridges allows for contrasting microenvironments. There is a warm, southerly ecoregion at the summit and a cold, boreal ecoregion at the base. This allows for a variety of species to live here, many of which are endangered. For example, there is a calcareous bedrock on the mountain, but this rock is rare to New England. This type of bedrock, combined with a variation of microenvironments, has led to conditions that allow for extremely rare plants to grow. The mountain is also home to 125 species of bird, including species that are threatened or endangered. Since the mountain is very close to the Connecticut River, the mountain has become a very important resting spot for many migrating birds, including several raptors. You can also find larger animals on the mountain, such as deer, bobcats, foxes, bears, and more. The Sleeping Giant Park Association is the primary force protecting the mountain. They first acquired 845 acres of land from the Mount Carmel Trap Rock Company in 1933 to protect the land from quarrying. Now they own about 1,500 acres of land on the mountain. The SGPA created a trail crew to maintain the mountain. They are responsible for maintaining the 32 miles of land that the trails cover. Some projects that the crew tackle are removing fallen trees, cleaning litter, constructing infrastructure to protect the land from erosion, making trails more accessible, relocating trails, and more. The SGPA also runs environmental stewardship projects. These projects include removing non-native invasive species, tree planting, and maintaining the butterfly garden, which provides a habitat for many species, some of which are endangered. In conclusion, Sleeping Giant is a unique and beautiful land formation that is rich in history and provides a home for a variety of species. It's important that we protect the mountain and treat it with the respect it deserves.